It is 5:15. I'd like to call the January 22nd, 2026 joint work session of the Staunton City Council and the Staunton City School Board to order. Is there a motion to appoint an acting city clerk?
Madam Mayor, I move to appoint John Blair as acting city clerk.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Blair, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Park.
Aye.
Mr. Overholzer.
Aye.
Ms. Woods.
Aye.
Mr. Campbell.
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd. Vice Mayor Arrowwood.
Aye.
Mayor Edwards.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I will now entertain a motion to approve the work session and regular meeting agendas.
Mayor Edwards, I move to adopt the work session and regular meeting agendas as presented.
Thank you,
Second.
Councilor Rhodes. Second, any discussion? Mr. Blair, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Park.
Aye.
Mr. Overholzer.
Aye.
Ms. Woods.
Aye.
Mr. Campbell.
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd. Vice Mayor Arrowwood.
Aye.
Mayor Edwards.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Blair. Madam Chair, would you like to call your meeting to order?
Sure, we will call the meeting of the Staunton School Board to order.
So this is a joint budget work session. As Councilor Campbell is our liaison to the school board, he's going to lead this portion of the meeting. Thank you, Councilor Campbell.
Absolutely. Welcome, everyone. It's always exciting to get together as joint elected bodies to work together to see how we can progress both the needs of our city and our schools to make our community better.
Just move.
I feel like everyone generally knows each other, so we got a lot of information to cover, so we'll
Yeah.
skip introductions. So for kind of the flow of the process tonight, I was just going to provide a quick overview of the city's draft capital improvement plan, which includes the schools under its as one of the sections. I'll go through all the sections and then pause before the schools. I'll then turn it over to Dr. Irizarry to go over the school's presentation, and then we'll come back to the actual slides in here related specifically to the school. I'll turn it over to Chair of the School
That's
Board.
okay. I just wanted to do a quick welcome and thank you. As you all know, we all appreciate our cooperation together. We always want to extend a sincere appreciation for the continuation of this joint session where we can speak openly about our priorities and budgetary needs. It's important for both of our bodies to understand the challenges we both face and the needs we both have so we can continue to be good advocates for one another, the students of our city and the residents of Staunton City. We want to always start off by expressing our continued appreciation for our funding formula, which allows us to know and plan our budget in advance. As we are seeing with our neighbors in Waynesboro, disruption to this formula can be chaotic and frustrating. So thank you all for your continued support. We're also very grateful for the opportunity to be included in the city planning development review. Our inclusion allows us to stay informed of new housing plans and plan accordingly for potential needs as opposed to being caught unaware. Additionally, we're also grateful for being included in the department-wide CIP planning meetings, as well as a CIP professional learning day that occurred in the fall. Finally, thank you all, city staff, for your support with onboarding of our new superintendent and our new finance director. We're extremely grateful for your willingness to share resources and knowledge and look forward to continuing to build our relationships further with mutual advocacy needs in the future. So thank you. And I'll turn it back over to Adam.
Thank you, Dr. Siegel. So for the overview of the capital improvement plan, the draft plan for FY 27 through FY 2031, Ms. Moyers just gave an update last week to introduce this plan to the Planning Commission. So I took her slide deck and just reduced it a little bit just to hit some of the highlights as we move through here. But here's just a schedule for the budget process and the CIP for the spring. So we have another opportunity to come together again, April 9th for another joint work session before ultimate adoption of the budget and CIP at our April 23rd meeting. So here is the 5-year CIP totals, 91.7 million, broken down by the various funds within the CIP. I did want to highlight, the city has a number of reserves that we've had, that we've added to over the years to address certain needs of the city. I want to go over some of the newer ones. This general city infrastructure repair reserve was established with the budget last year as a direct response to the wharf tunnel issues that we're having. That was the 2 cents in the real estate tax rate increase. We specified that that would go to this reserve. We are we out to bid? Or we accepted a bid?
We have signed a contract.
We have signed a contract. We have an anticipated start of construction.
We're gonna be mobilizing in a few weeks, weather cooperating on Byers Street first.
Okay, yeah, so we'll be addressing the sections of the tunnel that need to be repaired within our public streets, Byers Streets first, and then we'll follow up with Johnson, and then the smaller improvement on New Street. Additionally, the city council recently updated the Staunton plan, which is our 1 to 3 year set of city priorities. There's a few new reserves and proposed in the budget to address some of those priorities. The first is a new environmental sustainability and resiliency plan or a reserve. We hope to, coming out of our comprehensive plan update, to take a next step and come up with a citywide sustainability plan that we can apply across the city. I know the school board was also working on a sustainability plan. Have you all advanced that, or has that kind of been in a holding?
It's been stagnant.
Okay, so there's opportunities here that we could work on this together since it's an initiative of both groups. This is not a new reserve, but we combined, we had a separate reserve for new sidewalks, a reserve to implement the bike and pedestrian plan, and a reserve to implement our greenway plan. So we kind of just combined all of those to allow greater flexibility for when grant opportunities become available. So that's just an update to how that's presented. So these are in addition to our various other reserves, like we have the West End Reserve and the Uniontown Reserve, and the Library Reserve that we established 3 years ago now. So those are holding strong. Those are 1% of the sales tax or of our real estate tax at the time. That was $287,000. We decided last budget to hold it at that and not increase it based on what the 1 cent up to with the last assessment. So just some highlights for the projects over the next 5 years in our general fund. That top one was also an initiative coming out of our updated Staunton plan, looking at how we can better utilize Booker T. Washington facility. So we have just a placeholder for a study there to look at, a space study to see how we could repurpose that as a first step. The recreational master plan was also an initiative of just looking at all of our Parks and Recs facilities and seeing what we can come up with, what our needs are, where we can improve programming, what are some other things that the city would like offered from a Parks and Rec recreational standpoint. I just want to see if there's any other ones on here that were directly out of our updated.
JDR District Court.
Yeah, so with the remainder of the Chestnut Hills down there towards the bottom of the FY27, we have $250,000 set aside for a master plan of what we can do with the rest of the property. I mean, that's a sizable property, so there's opportunity to do more city facilities out that way in kind of a campus style. Just because the high school plays there, again, Moxie Stadium is there at 1.8 million. Based on the feasibility study we did a couple years ago, that's not going to get us a whole lot. Right now, it's like leveling out the outfield and making it safer for the individuals that play there. Just a slide showing that we have a lot of transportation funding and projects underway right now. Most of this is 100% state funding, state and federal funding. But there are a few where we've had to come up with some local match there, namely the top one with Richmond Avenue, Greenville Avenue, the intersection improvement there. It was more expensive than the original grant request, so there's a little local funding there. And then the Churchville Avenue streetscape, our goal is to get our streetscape out to Gypsy Hill Park to downtown. So that's a match, 50-50 match program. So a lot in the world of transportation funded right now. Here's just an example of some of the unfunded general fund projects we do not have a plan in place for right now. I will note that we did start a reserve for the police station, just to start accumulating some money to start looking for opportunities when they may become available for a new location for the police station to remove it out of the basement of City Hall. The Uniontown transportation infrastructure, that's coming out of the Uniontown plan. We applied for a federal grant last year, but we're unsuccessful in acquiring that grant. So we're just gonna look for additional opportunities to go after that. I'm not gonna go into all these individually. I did just want to point out the Uniontown water line extension. That's a project that we're trying to advance as fast as possible. We hope to have design underway for both that water and the sewer within the next few months. But you can see some pretty big ones there, particularly Richmond Avenue Phase 2, which is one of our primary service distribution lines in Richmond Avenue that's in pretty poor shape. And this is probably our biggest city unfunded project. I think you all are aware, we talked about it last year, but just to replace the pipeline that goes all the way out to the National Forest to the Staunton Reservoir, it's at or exceeding its estimated 100-year lifespan. So it's not a problem, but I guess it could become a problem anytime now. So you need to start taking a look at this. Sewer, again, I wanted to point out the extension of the Uniontown. Ms. Moyer notified Planning Commission that number of 3.8 million for construction with the latest design estimate that's currently underway to get it ready to go to bid. It's actually increased to more like 6 million. So just to show the longer we wait to address any of these infrastructure issues, we're just gonna be facing more of an uphill challenge. These projects were the next batch identified for our recently completed Gypsy Hill Park stream restoration. These may change based on just some of the state requirements of what gets us the most bang for our buck to meet our stormwater state requirements. But I did want to point out the one that is highlighted there behind the high school. I know Nate Lawrence has been working with friends or the Lewis Creek Advisory Committee to look at a trail back there and get some outdoor recreation space for the high school. All right, so I'll pause there, turn it over to Dr. Irizarry, then we can revisit.
Yeah, Board Chair, Mayor, thank you so much for having us today. I'm going to start. There's Josh is helping out. I'm going to introduce Katina Clater-Fry. She is our finance director. She's going to take care of the first few slides, and then I'll jump in towards the end, and we'll be happy to answer any questions. We're going to go over a general overview of kind of where our budget is and kind of what our vision is for the next 10 to 15 years. I think you have
I'll just advance.
Okay. So thank you, and I would like to give a big shout out to Miss Jessie Moyers, who's been a great mentor and everything since I came on board, working through this stuff here at Staunton. So thank you, Jessie. Okay, can you go ahead? Our agenda, of course, introduction. We're going to go over the budget priorities, talk a little bit about the funding formula, factors impacting our budget, CIP, how the enrollment impacts that, our building capacity, and then what our CIP priorities, funding opportunities look like. We always start our presentation just as a reminder of the vision for Staunton City Schools, that students will be upstanding citizens, innovative thinkers, and creative problem solvers who inspire others through their example. And of course, our mission, we empower each student to excel by investing in an inclusive, innovative, and healthy learning community. As you all know, as far as our operating budget, over 80% of that is staff wages and benefits. So as you, if you don't mind going to the next slide, our biggest overall priorities for this year's budget, we're looking at possible salary increase. Of course, our health insurance that has increased to 12% for employee and employer. And then new positions that because of our growing enrollment. So just trying to, everything obviously is going towards our staff and students. And just a reminder that for those that don't know, our local composite index did increase from the 3767 to the 3999. That was an impact just for this year. If we were to use the same projections, that is a $760,000 decrease in our funding. So trying to look at our ADM for next school year, for the FY27 budget, that is a big impact on how we can try to recoup some of that and then look for our positions. As far as the local funding formula, which I appreciate talking to other finance directors, it's a blessing for sure. But this just shows our increase from year to year, what the city has provided through that formula. So I'm not going to read all those. Most of you are familiar with that. And you know, I'm speaking specifically about the operations budget, but you know, we are all faced with increases in everything, the utilities, the materials, supplies, cost for CIP projects. We all know the longer we wait, this continues to grow. And even with our food and nutrition, you know, you hear that we have free meals. There's still a cost to getting those free meals. So I think there's a little bit of misconception about that. So I'm going to pause before Dr. Irizarry comes up. Any questions regarding just that first overview?
I just wondered, I'm sorry, is the 12% each or 6% each?
No, it's
for a total?
12% each.
I think mine went up that too. Yeah. My paycheck was smaller. So, okay.
Yeah, so we're here to talk about the CIP, and as we know, CIP pays for our facilities. But next slide. We kind of look at it in two different ways. We have a Fund 9, we call it our Fund 966, and that's our carryover. That's the savings. Any savings we have, we roll over into our CIP. On the city, you contribute $170,000, and that's for new construction, school renovations, and expansions as well. So any money we save rolls over to our CIP, and that's just basically our savings account. And that's what we use to do small projects. For example, recently we've upgraded the lighting in Dixon to LED lights. We've bought a few storage facilities for the high school, much needed. So a lot of that comes out of our CIP budget, our 966. Enrollment projections, it's positive. One more. We are seeing a lot of growth, and I'll get to the numbers in a second, but I did want to let everyone know that we have issued a facilities and capacity study with Crabtree, and it's comprehensive. They're going through all of our schools, looking for the instructional adequacy, the functional capacity of each building. They're going to help us develop a 5, 10, and 15-year plan on what that looks like. They're doing an evaluation for future capacity, and they take into consideration not only the building, but also VDOE standards and SOQ. And they're going to help us identify just deficiencies in our buildings, safety needs, ADA compliance. And it's good to have another set of eyes. Earl's team does a great job, but it's good to have another set of eyes come in and just make sure that we're on the same page. And they're also going to help us with some long-term capital planning in our CIP as well. We use enrollment projections to do our budget, provide staffing, instructional planning, facilities and capital, and resource distribution. So our enrollment drives everything we do in the budget. And here's what our enrollment's looking like right now. I'm just gonna go here and then we'll work backwards. We were predicting this year to be, our projected was, no, here's where we are. We're at 2749 on October 1 of this year. That was our head count. Currently, we're sitting at 2829, and that's more than what our projections were for next year. So we've seen a big increase. You'll see a little bit of a dip in 2022, and then it goes up and down a little bit. But we're seeing a lot of enrollment increases, particularly in the Bessie Weller district and the McSwain district. And that's important. Any questions here? I'll stop here. Sorry, I'm gonna throw a lot at you. Move quickly. All right, next one. We can come back if we need to. So what does that look like for our schools? We're over functional capacity at 3 of our schools, including Shelburne Middle School. And we're at functional capacity, which means we're using all of the spaces as best as possible at Ware, and even Staunton High School right now is at functional capacity, and that's our newest building, obviously. And what does that look like on the ground? This is a McSwain math class. We are trying to use every spaces in the building, and behind that curtain is the cafeteria as well. So it's not always the best, but we're using the spaces that we have right now. That's my kiddo right there. It's kind of funny. So when we do pull out groups, when we're looking at extra spaces, we're just really limited on what we're doing, but we are using the entire building. You go ahead. And this is Bessie Weller. It looks like it's a classroom, but you see the water fountain on the side. That's actually a corner in one of our hallways. And that's one of our teachers working with our students in math. So again, we're using our spaces, but we're also using our hallways as well. And when you go in there, you'll see, and it's not just one area, it's multiple. So, it is training the classroom and the teachers as well. Next slide. This is McSwain. And if you've had kids that go to McSwain, it probably looks familiar, but this is just one school event. So we don't really have, a lot of space when we have our community events as well. Parking's an issue at McSwain too. As our enrollment goes up, we're starting to run out of parking, which also, makes it more difficult when we're trying to add folks. As our enrollment goes up, we're trying to add teachers to keep class sizes down, but we don't have a lot of spaces to put them in once we get them either. Next slide. Our big concern, and we'll get into this a little bit, is Shelburne. This is a picture of a 7th grade classroom, and you can see how tight that is. It's causing a lot of stress, a lot of movement. Recently, we've asked students to keep all their backpacks and lockers just to create, because they were hanging on the back of the desks. So, sorry, this picture looks, he's a deep thought, y'all, deep thought. It's riveting. But you can see the stress it's causing. Next slide. And then this is our 7th grade hallway. We wanted to take a picture. This is a typical transition, but this is a transition without the lockers open either. So you can picture when they do go to their lockers, both sides open up, and it's tight in there. It's it's an older building. It wasn't, the designs back in the 60s didn't really take a lot of the things we take into consideration now, when they did the building. And then what does it look like? So this is new construction that has not been completed, but has been approved. So we're looking at 175 apartments in the Bessie Weller district, about 300 homes in the McSwain district, and then another 73 in Ware. And Ware does have some space, but when we look at that neighborhood, that's an older neighborhood, and we're seeing some turnover with folks. So we expect that enrollment to increase, and it has increased this year as well. And we did a conservative estimate. We called around to figure out what is a number, just a typical projection number. And a conservative number is 0.8 per home. And what that averages out to is about 400 new students that could potentially enter on top of the growth that we're seeing right now with the current construction. And then here's where we are. The high school is, a new renovation in 2020. Shelburne had the 6th grade wing in 99, and then in 2024 was some CTE classrooms and the front office. Ware and McSwain, we're coming very close to that coming off of our books, but that was in 2026, so 20 years ago. They had some work done, and then Dixon has not had any renovations. So if you go in Dixon, it still looks like it did back in 1975. Next one. And so what we're looking at when we're looking at our priorities, and we're going to use our facility study to help inform this, but what we're seeing with our data is Shelburne's still going to be our main priority. And the reason is that's where everyone comes. So as we see growth in our district, the first stop is Shelburne. And we know that it's over capacity now. So it's something that our community and our families have been asking us to take a look at. We have our 2 elementary schools, that's McSwain and Bessie. They've kind of moved up a little bit. We were not expecting enrollment to increase as quickly as it did. So we're just trying to figure out what does that look like. So we're hoping that through the facility study, we'll know a little more. We always have Dixon, which right now is our pre-K center. It's functional right now, but we could not open that up right now as a full elementary school because it doesn't meet the requirements needed to open for a full elementary school. And the operations center, we are working, we had that in our CIP. We pushed that down to, I think, 2031, just out a little bit. Earl and his team have done a great job. Our buses should be able to get there in a few weeks. And through our own folks and through our local or through our CIP, we're able just to make that work. And we feel we're in a good spot. But in the future, that's a potential spot for a CTE, program down the road, a training center, things like that. I'm going to show, next slide is a video because I did just want to get the take, I don't know how that's going to work, from our folks on the ground, our teachers and our students. And this is something we can use as we get closer to the 1% and we're optimistic with this, but I just want to play this short video.
We have great students and great teachers and a great community, but our building needs a lot of love. The current room that I'm in right now has had leaks every single year that I've been here. We've actually lost a ton of books because of leaks and then floods. So that's been a recurring problem. And our lockers are a big problem too. Our kids just don't really seem to have enough space to move throughout the building.
Because of the fact like we're all so close together, we're all so crowded, and we get in these areas and we're all rushing to class and trying to get our stuff, it does cause like more like arguments, it causes more fights in the hallways. So it would be nice if like we had bigger hallway spaces and like a little bit bigger lockers, because of the fact it does just cause like chaos a lot of the time.
Shelburne looks exactly the same. When I walked in for my first day of student teaching, it felt exactly like it did when I walked in as a 7th grader. You know, we're in a modern day classroom with modern day stuff, but the building is not matching that.
I have 4 classes a day, and the kind of smallest number that I have in each of those classes is about 20 students, which sounds like a very small number, but when you put them in the space together, and then you also account for the 20 desks and the 20 chairs, and then the space that you need to hold all of their things, the space in the room really starts to shrink and shrink and shrink.
That's really bad, especially the stalls. The stalls are really like, they kind of like, you have some that are really big, you have some that are really small, and especially for like tall girls like me, I can literally see over the stalls, and I'm only like 5'7", and I can look over the stalls in the 7th grade bathroom. The 8th grade bathroom is really small.
Quite frankly, I just think the school needs a full overhaul, full renovation, because I don't remember, I've lived in Staunton my entire life, and I don't think, other than adding this addition, they really have not had any renovations to Shelburne. It's kind of sad that it's the same. Even my husband, who also went here, when we brought Cameron in for orientation, he was just like, wow, it hasn't changed. And we were both in our 40s, so it's been a long time.
This is an important, like, cultural center for the town. Every kid comes through here, and we want it to be a good experience. They feel proud at the high school, but I don't know if they have that same kind of feeling about the middle school.
We have a growing community here of not only students that deserve to have a space that can grow and work with them, but we also have teachers and staff and a large Staunton City, just school board in general, that wants to make this place work and wants to give our students the best that we can.
Just as a Staunton resident, as a parent, and as a teacher here, it's just, this building is old and it just needs to be renovated. And I want our students to be proud of this building like they are the high school.
If we can give our students the best and everything that they need by investing now, that's just going to pay it forward in the future.
So the good news is, I think we all want that. And a lot has changed since the beginning of the year. We're really excited about House Bill 334 and where that's going. And we're hoping that this will, play a just give us that boost we need to get that done. Also, SCAP, which is School Construction Assistance Program. Did I make that up? No, I did. Okay, right. Before it was heavily restricted and we didn't qualify for it. When we looked at it now, we would qualify for up to 30% of the construction. It's a grant, it's free money from the state. So when you get to my next slide and you see the cost, it could make a huge difference in the overall cost for the city and the borrowing as well. So when you go to our CIP, I think that's the next slide. Yeah. So back of the envelope, Shelburne renovation, we asked our architects just to say, hey, what is the going price right now? And it's about $348 per square foot, which for a school the size of Shelburne in the current footprint would be about $50 to $60 million. If you take a conservative estimate at 50 million, with a SCAP grant of 30%, we're looking at $35 million, which is still a lot of money, but still that's a big chunk off the plate that our taxpayers are not responsible for here locally. So when we look at this, SVCal, which is VCTC, right now they are trying to renovate their building, and we're trying to figure out how we can mitigate our costs and our commitment and figure out what we can do to keep instructional programming. So hopefully more to come on that. Dixon School renovation, we have it there, but we pushed that back to 2030. And just as a place marker, we know we're gonna have to do something with Dixon down the road. But we're gonna push that down the line because right now, we need to really focus on Shelburne and elementary schools. And then our operations facility up 2031, that's just there. It's a space, it's an opportunity, and we just wanted to keep it in the CI. That's all I have. So thank you. On the next slide. Yeah, so I'm excited just to work together up with this. And again, that's all I have.
Just for everyone in the room, the top line item for the BTB, I can't get that.
BCTC.
And Gulf Schools. So that's part of, that would be the city's share of approximately $40 million renovation, correct?
Yes, sir.
It's a
Yeah.
one quarter.
Yeah, right now it's
50.
Waynesboro's 25%, we're 25%, and Augusta owns 50% of the equity in the building. They're looking at a $40 million, probably maybe even a little more than that renovation. But because of our agreement right now, we're tied into that.
That had a deadline too. It is 2027. So
It's coming.
we're tied
soon.
in.
Yeah. We met with them this week. They have an architectural firm coming in. The estimate they had was from 2021, so we know that estimate's gonna be off.
And not in a good way.
Not in a good way.
Yeah. Questions? Discussion? I personally am excited about this opportunity with what the 1 cent could bring if we can take it to a voter referendum this November. Our current 1 cent local 1 cent sales tax generates about $6 million a year. So that's a significant source of new revenue and I think if I'm correct, the current language is a lot more flexible than the bill that ultimately did not advance last year.
Yeah, the new language, which just passed out of full committee yesterday, it includes the ability for localities to use the money for bond repayment, which it didn't have before. And then obviously for new construction renovations, also things like paving, IT infrastructure. So there's a lot of flexibility in that bill.
So just to give you an idea, the high school is about a $50 million project, give or take. And our current city debt payment on that is $2.8 million a year. So just give you an idea what $6 million could do in terms of additional debt capacity, debt payment. Can more than handle a significant renovation of Shelburne. So I'm just looking for opportunities for the two boards and the two staffs to work together to create a campaign to really sell this 1 cent. I think it'll help.
Would it be open-ended or does it sunset after a period of years?
It does not. This bill, many of the bills that have been brought up previously had a 20-year cap. This one does not. So this is, as it's written, indefinite. The other thing that this does, it creates a pot of money. Whereas there was some question, do the voters have to vote on a specific project and get it funded? I reached out to our advocacy person at the VSBA, the School Boards Association, and she said the language seems to indicate it's a pot of money that has to be allocated by city council. So as long as the money's there and as long as it's been approved by council, things can be done with it.
Yeah, I wanted to say two things. You use the word campaign and I believe it's not just a campaign about the 1 cent, because I think it's the campaign about educating the public about what we just saw. And saying this isn't just for funsies. This is necessary and things are not inexpensive. So it really is a campaign that's gonna take communications, marketing, word of mouth, and if that were to happen. And just one other question before we have to, the SCAP, is that something that you all will be applying for quickly or soon?
Yeah, one of the conditions of the SCAP, we have to have a project underway.
Okay.
So that would come into play once we, once we get to that point, but that would, and it doesn't look like in the new, I don't see that going away right now.
Right.
And many school systems have relied on it, but
And it's the same one you applied to last year that you didn't get, so it's already kind of
Yeah, the restrictions have been really loosened on that, and we would qualify that if we had a project right now, we
Right.
would have qualified for 30%.
So you essentially kind of already have it done.
Would a project underway include?
State money.
Yeah, like feasibility study, or do you have to actually be?
You have to have it prepped already. before
Yeah,
you-
we would have to have designs, school.
Architectural plan set approved.
And we can get some more information on that, but yeah, it couldn't be in the phase we were in now, it would need to be, we have an
Shovel-ready
architect, we have,
kinda.
yeah, and we're working.
And just, I don't know that we've ever discussed this
I
honestly, so
understand, but I said I'm short.
VCTC would qualify for a SCAP. Because I believe last year legislation was passed that what was the word I'm looking-
Regional.
Yeah, regional programs also, and that's an undertaken,
They were not approved last year either.
they were not approved
They were
last
not
year.
approved.
MTC was approved last year,
Yes.
which is an interesting
So
conundrum.
that's why they kind of loosened the flexibility.
But they might get qualified this year considering their.
Yeah,
the new
Augusta being the fiscal agent, I think they would need to apply and they would need to. And Mayor, also, we've already started trying to, our comms department, Ruth, has already started to look at campaigning and messaging, and we've already started to figure out what that outline's gonna be and how that can benefit the city and how we're working together on this for our citizens. So I think coming together with Josh and with Ruth and really just getting that strategy out, we'd be ready to go pretty
And the
quickly.
newsletter.
And the newsletter, absolutely.
And we've been going to PTA meetings and spreading the word, just to put it out there, let people know this legislation's out there. There's a really great chance it's gonna be passed this year. Get people excited about it and they're willing, to come out and help support. So, we're just trying to do as much as we can to get momentum going, but it'll be a concerted effort.
Shelburne has an extremely strong PTA.
It does, there.
That was a powerful video, so.
The good news is that the average state and local sales tax impact is below the national average in Virginia, so that there's opportunity to. When would the 1 cent be effective if the referendum passed this fall? Would 28 budget year, is that when we could start
That's a John.
collecting the money?
Would you know
It was a
that?
I think it's January.
Would it be January first? That we could, okay,
Right.
27.
January.
it's not July, okay,
It's 1%, you'll.
yeah, it's 1%.
It's in addition to the 5.3 that's.
Right. In addition.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's very interesting. Sam Rasool is one of the chief authors of this bill, and on his social media, there was somebody I was engaging with today about this tax, and they live in Patrick County, and they said there's no localities that will approve this outside of Nova. And I listed all of the localities that currently have this on the book, and Patrick County is one of them. And they didn't realize that they were paying because it just doesn't, if you don't know, I don't think it affects you. If you're thinking about it, it affects you. And I'm not saying it's gonna not affect people, but it's one of those things that if it's already there, people don't feel it. And
Like 9, 10 Virginia localities that are already
Yeah.
paying this, already authorized by the assembly
Mhm.
to assess this tax.
And it won't only be Stanton citizens who are paying into
Right,
this.
right.
Yeah.
Everybody who
Yeah.
buys stuff in the city.
Yeah, it's not like property tax.
Right.
It's only the residents. We've got a great tourism base and they would be contributing to our schools.
Well, I just want to thank schools, Dr. Eversary for coming, Madam Chair, school board, all the school staff. Nice to meet you. Glad you're on board.
Thank you.
Everyone is here, and I look forward also to working together, and I think there is a good path forward. Thank you, Counselor Campbell, for the work that you put into your presentation. You said a lot in a very short amount of time.
Honest Moyer.
Yeah, oh. Give credit where credit is due. Thank you. Thank you. We are going to go ahead and move into council chambers. Madam Chair, do you need to
yes,
close your
we would like
meeting?
to adjourn our school board meeting as well. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
It is 6 o'clock, and next item is a DEI Commission update. Ms. Beauregard.
Santu Wynn is here. I
Hello.
commission. And I think this is the first report you've
Yeah, I
received
think so.
since they were
A long
re-
time.
gosh, a year and a half ago, I guess. So, they're shaking their head, yes. Time for me is fleeting. We have several members of the commission here, but I'll let Ms. Nguyen introduce them as part of her presentation.
Oh, yes. Great. Thank you. Okay. Can folks hear me okay?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Good evening
excellent.
and welcome to everyone on the DEI Commission who's in attendance. Well,
Excellent. Okay, good evening, Mayor Edwards, council members. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share the work of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Commission with you all. It's been a true joy to work alongside many of the members that are present here tonight, and I'll introduce everyone at the end. Does that feel okay? Excellent. Okay, so I knew I was going to mess up the clicker. Okay, so with our time together, I'm going to hopefully get through this quickly. I know we have a limited amount of time. So with our time together, I really want to just give a brief overview of the commission history and the 2023 report as a foundation, and then I'll share what the commission has been working on, overall progress on what we've tracked as far as recommendations from the 2023 report, as well as what we hope to achieve this upcoming year. So, City Council, you all are the reason why we're here tonight. So, you all first adopted the resolution to establish the commission back in February of 2022. At that point, 14 members were appointed later that year. And then one of our first actions as a commission was to update our name to the now named Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Commission. So the work of the commission is of the inaugural commission spanned from July 2022 until December 2023. In that period of time, the commission gathered and analyzed data, hosted a number of community listening sessions, as well as conducted numerous stakeholder interviews in preparation for the final report and recommendations that were presented in front of council in December of 2023. So in 2024, there was a public hearing on the report's recommendations, and staff were approved to begin with implementation of some of those recommendations. And in April of 2024, you all adopted a resolution to permanently establish the DEI Commission and appropriately updated our charge. A number of the commissioners from our inaugural commission were reappointed, and new commissioners were appointed by the by the early fall of 2024. So this I pulled straight from the resolution itself, lists the duties of the permanently established DEI Commission as adopted in April 2024. So we partner with the city's efforts to move the commission report recommendations and strategies forward. We're an advisory group that provides expertise and guidance to city council and other leaders on the ways in which the city can engage with the community. And C, which is my favorite, the commission is here to create a sense of DEI permanence by partnering with the city to better incorporate values of equity and inclusion within city events, language, and interactions. I won't go through everything, but that is the gist of what we do. So I want to quickly provide a brief summary of the data analysis from the 2023 report. So as an analysis framework, the commission adopted one that was laid out by the National Equity Atlas. So this is an incredible resource. I highly encourage folks to check it out if you haven't already. So we adopted this framework to really organize our data analysis and conceptualize our final report. This framework is pretty widely used by those that are working to understand the state of equity in communities and contains a lot of comprehensive data that can be interrogated, I think, at the city, state, national, and regional level as well. So the website itself contains a number of equity indicators, but for the purposes of our report, we chose to narrow our focus and we looked specifically at 29 unique equity indicators across 4 focus areas that are listed there. So demographics, economic vitality, readiness and well-being, and then connectedness as well. So these focus areas really helped serve as the foundation of our report, but also as the foundation of, as we were conducting interviews and stakeholder interviews as well, this served as the foundations of many of the questions that we were asking. So what does the community offer to its citizens? Do citizens have the experience, the skills, and the resources to be able to thrive? And are citizens connected to their community? Do they feel connected to civic and other economic opportunities? So this chart just briefly lists the data type as well as the number of sources that were collected for our report. So for us, it was really important to collect and review data from a diverse range of sources. So firstly, we looked at external reports published by Capsol, for example, Augusta Health. They have published community health needs assessments. We also conducted. Is that okay? Tell me otherwise. In addition, we conducted in-depth interviews and focus groups, for example, to provide additional context. We also hosted listening sessions for specific subsets of the community, and we also captured survey responses for anyone who might not be captured in the other methods of data collection. So through that work, the DI Commission put together a number of recommendations that were published in the 2023 report. These recommendations help push us closer to the idea of an equitable community. So these recommendations really serve as our guiding document. So goal A, invest in a long-term DEI commitment. Goal B, promote values of DEI in city policies, procedures, and staff representation. Goal C, promote and model values of DEI for the community and broader region. Goal D, prioritize increased opportunities for residents to gain and sustain economic vitality. And lastly, goal E, support community well-being with an enhanced focus on vulnerable residents. So to begin to implement these recommendations, our current commission is structured into two subcommittees. So the Data and Research Subcommittee and the Community Connection Subcommittee. So Data and Research is focused on advising City Council and city departments on best practices when it comes to promoting inclusive and equitable policies. This is the subcommittee really focused on ongoing and reviewing data collection and research, for example. And then our second subcommittee is Community Connections. This is our more public-facing portion of the commission itself. They're really engaged in connecting and in building relationships with community members and organizations. They really lead all of the community engagement efforts on behalf of the DI Commission. And we really see them as the conduit between community and city government to really connect the broader community to specific city initiatives and community resources. Okay, so I'll shift our focus to data and research. So upon recommendation and discussion with Leslie, this subcommittee's work is really primarily focused on goal B. So promoting values of DEI in city policies, procedures, and staff representation, and specifically action B1 and B2. So in support of this goal, we've reviewed demographic data from applicants and those who have been hired by the city using the quarterly data that is publicly available to us from the city. We've looked at onboarding practices and specifically the NeoGov training platform. This is the training infrastructure that is used to provide mandatory training to all of city employees. And then we've also undergone many discussions with city staff and human resources as well. So as initially published in our 2023 report, the data align with what we're hearing from our community. This feels particularly important. And the key takeaway is the demographics of the city staff right now do not mirror city representation. That should not be a surprise to anybody that's in this room. So this chart just quickly lists current full-time employees and alongside the demographic breakdown of city residents. Currently, I think it's according to the 2020 census. So I will note, I'm a data nerd, this is an extremely limited demographic breakdown. But currently, city staff see an overrepresentation of both white and male staff in comparison to demographics of city residents. So before I get into share a little bit more, I think it feels important to underscore why this is important in the context of the work of the DEI Commission. So many have seen, I already lost my laser pointer. I don't want to blind anyone. So many have seen, I think, the argument that's listed in the first bullet point. So diversity in the workplace ensures a stronger workforce. So workforces that utilize and pull from employees with different perspectives and skill sets, that there's a plethora of data that link that directly to higher and faster problem solving and innovation that leads to higher employee engagement, retention, and overall satisfaction. So in the context of what we view as an equitable community, diversity and representation, there are broader impacts to that, to the broader community. More specifically, diverse representation at the level of city government and staff is linked to an increased sense of belonging, increased civic engagement and participation, and then increased willingness to seek and engage in city services and resources. So inversely, if the community does not see proper representation, this is linked to negative and dampening effects for each of these aspects. So this is feedback that we're hearing consistently from the DEI Commission, so it feels important to uplift. So, after consideration of the data, review, and discussion with city staff, it's important to note that this is a complex and nuanced issue with not a singular solution. So there are limitations to the data itself. So the chart that's listed in the slide a few slides ago is a good starting point, but it does tell an incomplete story. So there are gaps in data collection, for example. A lot of demographic data is self-reported. Diversity has many dimensions that's not currently covered by or captured by data. And then also it feels important to name some of the external systemic factors that might be in play. So folks that are hired might not have access to available housing or workforce development or other training opportunities that impact those statistics. And also there's lots of localized differences that we're seeing by job type. So the largest departments that we're seeing within city employees are police, for example, public works. These are historically male-dominated professions. So that is a systemic and not unique to Staunton. So important to name all of these nuances. So I can't sit here and say, please hire more Asian women. That is inappropriate. But so it's the position of the Data and Research Committee, subcommittee, that equity considerations need to happen along the entire life cycle. So it's not simply hiring, it's recruitment, it's hiring and onboarding as well as retention. All of those considerations add up to the bigger picture. So we believe that improvements to all aspects of the life cycle are critical at this point. So do actions and practices, do they support the bigger picture? So for example, are postings and opportunities shared equitably? Are hiring managers trained on implicit bias? Have departments conducted a pay equity analysis? Do employees feel like they're sufficiently supported with training and development opportunities? These are all questions that feel important to acknowledge at this point. So with that in mind, the subcommittee is currently working on a scaffold. It's very much in a draft form right now that help support improvements that align with best practices for DEI. So by scaffold, we mean that there are, upon discussions with city staff and human resources, there are many actions and practices that are in place, as well as existing infrastructure that is working towards these goals. What we would like to see is that continuation upon those activities to get us to where we would like to be. Okay, I apologize. This is an immense amount of text. So the scaffold should have been included with the presentation packet. The first competency is involving recruitment and hiring and developing a workforce that reflects the city's communities listed here. So again, a lot of text that we're not going to go over. What feels important to note is what's highlighted here. So again, we have heard and know of good practices that the city is employing currently. What we would like to see is how to better operationalize and put these into standard practice and policies. So a lot of these recommendations that are highlighted in the box speak to that specifically. So developing goals and metrics, written procedures, if the possibility of internal work groups to develop more diverse work recruitment efforts. For the second competency, this addresses onboarding and training opportunities. Again, this is really geared towards empowering staff to build a better culture and environment to tackle issues related to inclusion. So again, I won't talk through everything, but what I'll highlight here is something that has come up consistently in our discussions. So there is a desire and a capacity for the city to work with community partners to address some of these training gaps. A lot of times, a lot of these trainings are relegated to online platforms, but what we're hearing from both community and city is that there's an immense amount of talent and expertise that exists here locally. Local nonprofits, organizations, other groups that can provide a lot of this subject matter expertise and training, and a lot of that work has a hyper-local context. So if there's a local context that can, because their work is already grounded in the community. So for us, on behalf of DEI, we really see this as a particular area of opportunity and focus. Okay, so I'll shift gears really quickly. My Okay, just checking on time. I'll share what our Community Connections Subcommittee has been working on this past year. So again, they are our more public-facing subcommittee. Going around the circle, if you notice in our agenda items, we always have this point included in our agenda. And you all appointed many of our commission members for the reason that we have existing and robust community networks. We've done a lot of that community building. So this is an opportunity for us to share what's going on in the community with a lens of DEI, uplift community events, and also use our own networks to connect more effectively to resources that are available. I listed just a small portion of the number of groups, civic, nonprofit, faith organizations, for example, that we are intimately connected with, but there are many others as well. Secondly, I lost track. So secondly, Community Connections has been focused on how to boost resident engagement with current city initiatives. The community surveys that circulate, for example, the comp plan in particular, also signing up for emergency alert notifications. Community Connections and DI are really interested in exploring communications and community building that go beyond the digital platform. So we know that digital platforms are a really effective way to cast a wide net very quickly. We know historically that other modes of communication and community building are more suited to reach our vulnerable and marginalized communities. So we're looking at areas of community gathering, for example, third spaces, neighborhood boards. Those seem very impactful. Community Connections also put together a Who We Are campaign. So what this campaign does is shares the faces and personal stories of the members of the DEI Commission. So this underscores the fact that we all come from very different backgrounds and perspectives, but we all do share a common goal and a mission. So our hope is to continue to raise awareness around the work of DEI and also to encourage and support public engagement. So this campaign was included in the newsletter as well as the updated website. Excuse me. In addition, the ongoing work for Community Connections is seeking additional outreach and education opportunities, again, increasing awareness of the work of DEI as well, but also providing, I think, points of contact for the community to provide feedback directly to us. Again, if DEI is to serve as a conduit, we need to be out in the community. So what have we heard? So honestly, our community is worried about many things right now, and appropriately so. In the context of DEI, it feels important to name at least there's concern around a lot of the national dialogue around DEI initiatives. So a lot of seeding of misunderstanding and fear about what DEI really is. And a lot of our community members are concerned about that local impact to our work and what that means for Staunton. So I know I have been reassured, as well as many of the other commission members, reassured by the City of Staunton's commitment to the DEI work here and our ongoing commitment to support the entire community. So that feels important to name. So thank you for that support. And lastly, we've heard from community members that they would like us to have a more visible presence. And so this is ongoing work that we need to continue to build relationships throughout the community. Ongoing work, relational work takes time. It's all relationship building. So it's work that the DEI Commission is committed to moving forward. Okay, so how am I on time? Oh, gosh.
About 5 minutes, so.
Okay.
Hurry.
Okay, I will, let's see. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Okay, so I
know where you
shared a little bit about the work of the subcommittees, but you might be wondering the overall progress on the report recommendations. So again, the next few slides are pulled directly from the supplementary materials. And I would love to go over each item, line item by item, but overall, these are strategies and progress initiated by both the City of Staunton as well as the DEI Commission, mapped onto our recommendations from the 2023 report. So my hope is that the overarching sort of theme and takeaway is that work is ongoing for nearly all recommendations at this point. Again, there is no endpoint to equity. It is a continuous and ongoing work. So, but I'm pleased to share this with you as well. So I will quickly get through these slides, I apologize, and share just quickly about what we have planned for 2026. Community Connections has some exciting events coming up. Did I get cut off? Has some exciting events coming up, Community Mutual Aid Fair and a youth art event specifically partnering with Staunton City Schools, which is exciting. In addition, they really want to reach out to the other city boards and commissions, again, to establish more working connections. Where are ways that we can see values of inclusion and equity embedded in all of the city's work? So that's super exciting to share. And data and research will continue our work on diversifying employee representation. Again, looking at training opportunities as well. Okay, so it feels important to name and thank all of the commission members, both past and present. I have been really, really fortunate to work with every single person that is listed on this slide, and I know that their impact and presence is really deeply interwoven into this work. So thank you so much. I will invite the rest of the commission to come up and introduce yourselves if that feels okay. Come on. I cannot be your face. Come on, just really quickly.
Hi.
Hi there.
I'm Mark Jeter.
Hi, Mark. Welcome.
Mark.
Hi, Jordan Zipser. I'm on the Community Connection Subcommittee. Actually, we all are.
Oh, hi, Jordan.
Show up.
Yeah.
Belinda Sawyer-Polgar.
Ms. Polgar, yeah. Hi.
Hi, everybody. Ian Callahan.
Good evening. Yes, thank you all for being here, and thank you, Antu, for that terrific presentation.
Thank you so
As
much for the
usual, I
time.
will add that this is going to be added to our city website. So if
Awesome.
anyone is wanting to see this, simply go to the website, Google City Council presentations, and this will pop up
Thank you so
It'll be on the
much.
DEI webpage as well.
and be on the
Yep.
DI webpage as well.
Thank you for their time. Appreciate it.
Fantastic. This will not be the last time that you will speak with us, and look forward to seeing you all again. Please be safe during this snowy
Thank you.
weekend.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for everything you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great report, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, it comes to that time when we move to a closed meeting. I will ask for a motion.
To the room. Sure. Madam Mayor,
Vice Mayor Wood,
I move to enter a closed meeting for consideration and disposition of publicly held real property located at Staunton Crossing Development Site pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A3 and to discussion of the performance of the Staunton City Manager pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A1.
thank you very much. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Blair, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Park.
Aye.
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 Campbell.
Aye.
Aye. Vice Mayor.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. The work session. I mean, we are now in closed session. I hope that all of you will be back here at 7 o'clock for our regular meeting.
Every one of you.
I will now entertain a motion to come out of closed session.
Mayor Edwards,
Yes, Councilor Woods.
I move that council reconvene in an open meeting and certify to the best of each member's knowledge that only lawfully exempted public business matters were discussed and that only public business matters as identified in the closed meeting motion were heard, discussed, or considered in the meeting.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Parks. Any discussion? Mr. Blair, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Park,
Aye.
Mr. Overholtzer,
Aye.
Ms. Woods,
Aye.
Mr. Campbell,
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Arrowood,
Aye.
Mayor Edwards.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Closed session is adjourned. We are on to our regular meeting. I would like to call the January 22nd, 2026 regular meeting of the Staunton City Council to order. Please stand as you are able and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh my God. Oh my goodness. Well, it's good to see all of you here this evening. I see a lot of people under the age of probably 25, and that doesn't happen very often. Safe to say, young people who are in front of the people in uniforms. What schools are you from? Mary Baldwin. Well, welcome, students. We're so happy to see you, and please stay around after the meeting. So if you have questions, you can speak with any of us. I'm Mayor Edwards. We have Councilor Blake Shepherd, Councilor Corey Park, Vice Mayor Arrowood, Jeff Overholter, Councilwoman Woods, and Councilor Adam Campbell. And we have, of course, our city manager, Leslie Beauregard, who would love to chat with you as well. I want to, of course, always welcome our sheriff and his chief deputy, Aaron McFarland. Thank you for being here. And I will invite Vice Mayor Arrowood to do our invocation.
Thank you, Mayor Edwards. Before we begin tonight's agenda, I'd like to invite us to just pause for a moment to think about the responsibilities we carry as a city, especially with, if you haven't heard, a major snowstorm expected in the coming days. In severe weather, the gap between comfort and crisis becomes very stark. For our neighbors who are unhoused, for those without reliable heat, and for those who are isolated or medically vulnerable, the coming days can become dangerous very quickly. So let's let this moment sharpen our focus and strengthen our resolve that we act with foresight, coordinate services with urgency, and communicate clearly, with every resident's safety and dignity at the center of our work. And as we prepare, I want to note a few ways our community can respond. Valley Mission continues to have ongoing need for warm clothing, and they told me especially socks. But if you have a coat that doesn't fit or someone's outgrown, please bring it over to them. They need them. They're handing them out quickly. They need other simple items become essential in winter weather. And for anyone needing overnight refuge during extreme cold, they do kind of an emergency shelter thing. They're currently at about 2/3 capacity, but they're opening up a little bit more area as well too. And the warm shelter is operating in Waynesboro this week, ending on the 26th. They have their regular shelter. They also have spillover area for additional coverage too. For anyone in need, 211 is a great resource, as well as the local community hotline for that too, for through the Valley Community Services Board. So maybe we move forward tonight with steady leadership and with a shared understanding that in Staunton we try to look out for one another, and please don't be afraid to reach out. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Arrowood. Well, it is unusual. I normally have quite a long mayor's report, and I'm not going to say anything tonight. Nice eye roll, Councilor Woods. No, I am going to say two things. I'm going to give a couple of shout outs. I used to teach at a school where we did shout outs at the end of every day. And I want to give a shout out to our city manager's office and to Public Works. In my mailbox, I received a lovely mailer, and it was about the schedule for trash pickup. So when there's a holiday, for example, Monday was my day for pickup. And so I would get my pickup on Wednesday. It was beautifully done. And then an update on what I can recycle, because I just can't remember. So now I can put it up on my refrigerator. I'm sure that Mr. Knight had something to do with that as well. And so I really want to give our staff a shout out. I also received, which is wonderful, you don't always get good news, but I just received a letter from a resident. I will make copies for each of the council people. The resident was just writing to express his appreciation of the Staunton Sheriff's Office and the city manager, and for their carrying out their duties with diligence and commitment and reflecting the positivity of our community. And so I really would like to also give a shout out to the sheriffs and the city manager's office. And also, I drive by our pool house a couple times a day and continue to see building there. And I look forward to all of us being able to use a new pool house this summer. So thank you to everyone. Any other comments from City Council? Councilor,
Yes.
Oh, go.
I would like to say it was an honor and a privilege to be in attendance at First Presbyterian Church Monday when Councilwoman Woods on her birthday got to read the proclamation for the city of Staunton for Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. And it was the 35th annual celebration by Mary Baldwin. And it was a very moving presentation. And I was pleased to be there and the entire city council. And we were all there. And it was a lovely evening.
Indeed. I'm glad
We
we
were
were there.
reminded what we can do together, not divided.
Thank you, Counselor Shepherd. Anyone, Counselor Woods? Wood, Campbell, God.
Got it. I'll just reiterate and expand on what Counselor Arrowood just shared. My wife refers to me as Captain Safety, so I just want to, this is a significant event that's coming this weekend. And, just as a scout leader, I want to share the scout motto of everyone be prepared. Make sure you're ready for this. Also be patient. We only have so many city resources. They're going to be working around the clock to do the best they can, but with the magnitude of the storm and the low temperatures next week, it's a lot of parts of the city you're going to be snowed in for a while. And just finally, just be good neighbors, work together, help each other out. So,
Councilman Campbell, with your scout group's record, I'm surprised you're not camping this weekend. Heat stroke and hypothermia.
On a cave, I didn't know.
Anyone else? Final comment?
Oh, I was basically, I mean, they just covered it. So it was great. But again, the memorial service, the MLK Memorial Service is always just a highlight of my new year, even before I was on council to go. So a shout out to Mary Baldwin. I mean, the student choirs, I mean, everything is just so wonderful. And it's just a highlight, like I said, of kicking off the new year. And then also just thanks in advance to all our departments here in the city because everybody's going to be working so hard. So I'm originally from the beach and, during hurricanes and stuff, it's like, please just don't make it harder for our departments. Like at the beach, it would be like, please don't go surfing during the hurricane. And here it's just like, whatever we can do to stay off the roads and check on our neighbors and stuff like that, please do. Yeah.
Excellent.
Got one.
Oh, Counselor Overholt. Yes, sir.
I serve on the nominations committee with Counselor Woods and Shepherd. And we've been blessed lately with many applications for city advisory boards and committees, which we're very gratified by that outpouring of enthusiasm and offer to help the city. We're cranking through those as best we can, meeting weekly rather than monthly, which is our typical rhythm. And I just want to encourage people to continue that. We really need that counsel and that help, the expertise, your life perspective, your experiences. It's all really valuable in helping shape city policy. So we need your perspective. We need your involvement. I tried to recruit a Mary Baldwin student who was sitting next to me at the Martin Luther King celebration. So students, consider that you are eligible for this too, and that we have a youth commission, we have other bodies where your counsel and input would be really valuable. Keep the applications coming. Thank you, Stanton.
And with that being said, we give a shout out to Josh Knight for pushing that out on our social media page for the city of Staunton. Thank you so much. And that's where we hear not just from word of mouth, but also our social media page where a lot of our applicants hear about that. So thank you so much for doing that. Is there anything else? And I can read the nominations. So I'm the last one. Okay.
Counselor Woods, go right ahead.
So with that being said, being the chair of the nominations committee, I would like to move to make these reappointments and appointments. So I move that the Staunton City Council appoint Isaac Grant to the Economic Development Authority for a 4-year term commencing March 1st, 2026 and ending February 28th, 2030. I move that the city Stanton City Council reappoint Don Bosman to the Economic Development Authority for a 4-year term commencing April 1st, 2026 and ending March 31st, 2030. I move that the Stanton City Council reappoint Susie Dull to the Economic Development Authority for a 4-year term commencing May 1st, 2026 and ending April 30th, 2030. I move that the Stanton City Council appoint Christina Abacus to the Economic Development Authority for a 4-year term commencing February 1st, 2026 and ending January 31st, 2030. I move that the Stanton City Council appoint Hans Keering, Robin Miller, and Isaac Izero to, I don't want to mess up nobody's name, to 3-year terms on the Housing Commission commencing February 1st, 2026 and ending January 31st, 2029. And I just want to iterate that those additional 3 will make up our 7-member of the Housing Commission. And in doing that, I move that the Stanton City Council appoint Brad Arrowood as council liaison to the Housing Commission.
Thank you, Counselor Woods. That was a lot of folks. Thank you all for your commitment to the city. We do not need a second, but we will have a roll call. Blair.
Ms. Woods,
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd,
Aye.
Mr. Campbell. Aye. Mr. Overholzer,
Aye.
Ms. Park, Vice Mayor Arrowood,
Aye.
Mayor Edwards.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Blair. And thank you to the members of the Nominations Committee for all of the time you gave to those interviews. On to the consent agenda. Per procedure memorandum number 14, it's the policy of City Council to have routine, non-controversial items placed on a consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda will be voted on in one motion. If separate discussion of an item requested by any member of council shall be removed and considered separately at the end of the regular meeting agenda. Do any council members wish to remove any items from the consent agenda for separate consideration? All righty, hearing none, I will entertain a motion to
Madam
approve the
Mayor,
consent agenda. Mhm.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Is there a second, please?
A second.
Thank you, Counselor Woods. Is there any further discussion? Mr. Blair, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Woods,
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd,
Aye.
Mr. Campbell, Aye. Mr. Overholzer,
Aye.
Ms. Park,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Arrowood,
Aye.
Mayor Edwards.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Blair. This takes us on to an exciting topic. I'm glad that Chief Ball is here. Is a consideration of basic plan of the Regional Emergency Operations Plan. Ms. Beauregard.
We promise this was not done on purpose. That we
Okay.
happen to be talking about our emergency operations plan.
Yeah.
On the verge of a
That's
weather
good.
emergency.
Yes,
So
very
I
timely.
would say it worked out well. It's all in our mind, but Fire and Rescue Chief Ball is here this evening to walk through this and to answer any questions, of course.
Good evening. I
Good
do
evening.
bring before you the updates to the 2026 Regional Emergency Operations Plan. State code requires the EOP be updated every 4 years. If you will recall, the 3 jurisdictions were notified early August that our EOP had expired. So we brought before you all to readopt the 2020 plan until the 2026 updates could be completed. So we partnered with, obviously, Augusta and Waynesboro. The Planning Commission took the lead on all of the updates. We had several meetings, Chief Butler, Chief Dolan, myself, and Patrick from Augusta, Gary from Waynesboro. I can't remember how many meetings we had, but we went through the entire thing. Went back to the Planning Commission, so we'd like to make these changes. They did everything very efficiently, effectively. For those that have read over the EOP, it is a very long document. So this time we wanted to reduce redundancy. So that was one of our main focuses. there was a lot of stuff outdated in the plan. We removed. The biggest focus we had was to align with VDM and some of their organizational skills and forms, because they're going to be the ones that we have to call in the need of an emergency,
Yeah.
like the water issue we had, if you recall that.
Yeah.
So there are 15 emergency services functions listed in the plan. We went through and prioritized those that, whether it be on the law enforcement side or the search and rescue side, we assigned responsibilities to those. There were obviously some name changes since the last update. This is the basic plan for their regional emergency operations plan. There's still a lot of work to be done with the specific annexes. There are 8 or 10 of those. This time we're going to include 3 more: civil unrest, cybersecurity, and active assailants. So there's still a lot of work to be done, but we bring this to adopt the updates of the basic plan. So I will answer any questions that you may have.
What do you think is the most difficult part of implementing this plan? For me, I'm thinking about communication, like how all of the parties, if there's an emergency, communicate with one another.
We are very fortunate in the
Right.
area to have
Okay.
a close-knit group.
Right.
Everybody knows everybody, so we're able to pick up the phone, whether I have to call Patrick in Augusta or Gary in Waynesboro. The city governments,
Mhm.
I'm sure the city managers have their connections too, but even during the water
Right.
crisis, we were able to pick up the phone, and
Mhm.
whether it was the service authority with our public works. So I feel very comfortable with our
Right.
area. We have wonderful relationships
Yeah.
that we've built, and yeah, we're here for one another.
I know that volunteers were part of this as well, and we relied on volunteers quite a bit when the water situation happened. Is that something that that has been able to be implemented, or how can folks sign up, or how can we find volunteers if needed?
So in the plan, the Red Cross and social services are mentioned. And
Right.
some of the citizen groups,
Right.
the CERT from Augusta, they're in the plan, or they're mentioned in the plan. Who else would be a volunteer
Mhm.
that was in there? Ryan, do you?
I see. So you're tapping into existing
Additional resources.
organizations.
Yes, as
Not-
much as we can.
Not just,
It's not just
folks
on
who
the
can help.
professional side.
I just found it interesting that it's broken out into, as you said, emergency support functions rather than specific emergency types.
The 15
Yeah.
ESFs that
Yeah.
list whether
So
it's
I guess that leaves it more flexible to quickly respond and know the responsibilities based on which one of those emergency support functions need to be implemented in terms of a response to the situation.
right, whether it's forestry or search and rescue or law enforcement. And that we had to go through those they were, I don't know where some of the ideas came from last time that gave the lead responsibilities to some of the functions, like fire and rescue was near the National Guard, and that is not in our realm.
so it's a good update. No, it does make sense because it's just an operations plan that you could use for hopefully any emergency.
And I went back through, just reviewing it for the water emergency. I just went back through and highlighted some things, and we were right on point with our EOP,
Mhm.
all through the water emergency.
Right.
From
Excellent.
the contacts of VDH yes, we were on point. I went through and highlighted it. We were right there.
And for communication, I thought one of the greatest things that came out of the water situation was the fact that so many more residents signed up for the alerts, the emergency alerts. Could you talk a bit about the emergency alerts in case folks are not part of that? And if we are going to have any automatic, I think it's called
Everbridge. Yes.
Yeah.
So the city has a communications platform called Everbridge. I'm sure Josh has some QR code somewhere. It's,
Over on the table behind you.
Okay.
okay,
It's not use your phone, take a picture.
right. So you register through Everbridge and we're able to send out messages. I'm sure one or two will come this weekend through next week
5 or 10.
regarding the storm. So we can put in that system anything you want. We can send it by text, we can send it by phone, or we can call you, we can send you an email, but it's really the best way to keep up with important information that the city we have to push out. Obviously, Josh will be on the social media, but this comes right to your phone without having to weed through anything. You're going to have a text or it's going to call you, whichever you prefer. I think over the water emergency from start to finish, we had about 800 additional sign up. Does that sound right? So we're up to a couple, we're probably pushing 3,000 now.
Terrific. Yeah, so please share those. If you can put them on your social, find that and sign up and share it. All you college students, I know you get yours from Mary Baldwin as well, but hearing directly from city staff, knowing what roads will be closed, whether or not our bus system will be running, where the streets being plowed, I mean, all kinds of information.
Yes, we'll try to push it out there as often as we can, just to keep the citizens informed. So yes, if you can get everyone to sign up, then awesome. If they need any help, feel free to call the fire station. We'll be able to walk you through it while you're up there.
It is a great way to stay updated. So this fulfilled the obligation
set for
for certification, but it's still a work in progress. There's still things that.
Yes, the support annexes,
working.
we still have some work to do.
Okay.
There's still some outdated information in that, but we know, and the planning commission is ready to help us tackle those also.
Great.
Any other comments or questions for Chief Ball? Well, thank you so much for this. It's better to be prepared, and you've clearly done a lot. Thank you, Deputy Chief Butler. We appreciate your input as well, and
yeah,
and we have all the confidence in the world that we're in good hands.
Thank you.
So, but again, let's help each other out, not make it. All righty.
The mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move that the Stanton City Council adopt the resolution as presented.
Thank you, Councilor Oberholzer. Is there a second?
A second.
Thank you. Any discussion? No? Mr. Blair, would you please call the roll?
Miss Woods,
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd,
Aye.
Mr. Campbell,
Aye.
Mr. Overholzer,
Aye.
Ms. Park,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Arrowood,
Aye.
Mayor Edwards.
Aye.
Carries.
Thank you. Thank you all again. Moving on to item C, we are considering a resolution authorizing Virginia Department of Transportation inventory adjustment. Ms. Beauregard.
Yes, Lyle Hart, City Engineer, is here this evening to present this item and answer any questions.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Hart.
Good evening. So construction of the public infrastructure of Southview Section 4, which includes Rolling Ridge Court and the extension of Stonewall Jackson Boulevard, was accepted by the city into the public street system this past September. The city wishes to add these newly constructed streets to the city's urban maintenance inventory registered with VDOT. As this is required to receive reimbursement from VDOT for the maintenance of such qualifying roads. To accomplish this, City Council needs to adopt the attached resolution that you guys have in your packets. A sketch of the new sections of the streets is referenced in the resolution and is also attached. So we'd be glad to have this accepted, and if there's any questions, please feel free to ask.
Comments or questions, Councilor Campbell?
Is my understanding, just hearing from residents out there, that there was a number of markups or indications for repair that city staff did for the developer. So that's all been taken care of, and you all feel comfortable with the state of the sidewalks and roadways being accepted?
That's correct. And in fact, that's why it was just accepted this past September, is it took some time to get all those mitigated.
Any,
Yeah, I appreciate the time city staff took, engineering and public works, to work with the concerns of the residents there.
okay. All right, well, if there are no further questions or comments, is there a motion on item C?
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Vice Mayor Arrowood.
I move the city council adopt the proposed resolution authorizing the Virginia Department of Transportation to add Rolling Ridge Court and the extension of Stonewall Jackson Boulevard as shown on Exhibit A of the resolution to the city's local system of roads in the urban maintenance inventory.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Arrowood. Is there any further discussion? No, is there?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion, any further discussion? Mr. Blair, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Woods.
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd.
Aye.
Mr. Campbell.
Aye.
Mr. Overholzer.
Aye.
Ms. Park.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Arrowood.
Aye.
Mayor Edwards.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Blair. And thank you, Mr. Hart. On to item D, update on phase 1 of the downtown tunnel and street repairs on Byers Street. Ms. Beauregard.
Mr. Hart is
we're
also
waiting for
going
Mr. Hart.
to,
Okay.
But we do have a presentation
Okay.
to provide some visuals, and this is just going to focus on the Byers Street portion. May mobilize in a few weeks, I guess the weather, I don't know. I'll let Mr. Hart speak to that. But these are the plans as
Good
we know
evening
them.
again. Well, as Ms. Beauregard said, we wanted to give an update because there may be some activity coming up the next few weeks, possibly even before the next council meeting. So we thought this would be a good opportunity to update on what is going on with the street tunnel repair project, particularly regarding the Byers Street section. Right. And as you guys have seen this slide before in previous presentations, but of course, this project entails the sections of the tunnel to be repaired, really replaced under Johnson Street and Byers Street, and then repaired under New Street. Just a recap of some of the design timeline here. Less than a year ago, we started with the geotech and design. October, we issued the invitation for bids. Bids were open in November, and this month, beginning of this month, we got under contract, had that executed, the contract executed with Virginia Infrastructure out of Lexington, and they're going to be doing the work. And so it is anticipated that work that they will mobilize, work will begin starting even as early as the first week of February. And so last time we talked about some of the pre-construction activity that'll be going on, most notably now, coming Tuesday at, I believe it's Tuesday morning, we're scheduled to have the pre-construction conference. That's just where you can all sit down, a lot of administrative things go over, but with the contractor as well as some of the third-party utilities that are involved. And of course, the engineer, Wiley Wilson, will be there to go through that meeting. And then contractors already getting together a lot of these submittals, including the construction schedule, breakdown of the pay items by line item that they'll be using to submit for pay requests each month, their bypass pumping plan, a more detailed transportation management plan, as a general one was included in the contract documents for them to go by, and then the material shop drawings, and that'll be throughout kind of throughout the project until I have everything. That includes, mixed designs for concrete, for asphalt, and that's certainly the delegated structural design of the precast members of the tunnel replacement. Also signage and procure materials. And so some of that needs to happen initially, but some of it can happen concurrently while they actually mobilize. And so they are, weather permitting and all, they're hoping to mobilize the week of February 2nd. And what that means is that phase 1 will be for the Byers Street work. And so that'll be closed at Johnson Street. So the entire eastern side of the wharf will be closed off at that point. Western side of the wharf will remain open for parking just as it is now. Contractor will set up some perimeter fence and signs in their construction and staging area there on the eastern portion of Buyer Street and the eastern side of the wharf. And the actual start date will be confirmed at the pre-construction conference, and we'll provide notification out to everybody about that. And we'll be working with, obviously with the contractor doing the work, but also with Public Works to ensure, you know, for street closures for the section of Buyer Street. And as you can see, the eastern portion of the wharf lot will close, and I guess the lower section of Buyer Street coming from Lewis Street, that'll remain open basically as it is now. Excuse me. Just to break down some of the schedule and the sequence, this is still approximate, but it gives just want to give you guys a general sequence of the construction that's going to take place at Buyer Street. They've submitted their preliminary schedule. And so the initial mobilization, like I mentioned, would be in early February. And then from that, they'll have the initial demo of the area along the tunnel at the street and actually start to take off the roof of the tunnel, demolish that. And then next would be the sewer line relocation. And that's going to be fairly involved. And so they allow about a month and a half for that work. And we'll have to be bypass pumping part of that time. Once the sewer is relocated, they will have to set up a cofferdam to divert the creek to just to one side of the tunnel. And so then they'll remove one wall, excavate for the footers and pour those, and then relocate the cofferdam in such a way, reconfigure it so they can work on the other side. And so that work is anticipated to go through July. And then in the summer, that's when they plan to have the precast sections come in, and they can place those on top of those footers. And then finally, close the gaps to connect to the existing tunnel, construct the wing walls, and then finally button it up with the guardrail and fence along the edge and restore the street and sidewalk. Then they're hoping to do that in August, with the idea that Buyer Street will be back open to traffic all the way through by the 1st of September is what they're shooting for. And of course, once it does, that's when they'll transition over to the Johnson Street area, and Buyer Street will serve as a detour for the Johnson Street closure. And after project completion, what's going to look different? Well, it'll of course reopen the traffic all the way through Buyer Street. They'll have instead of the steel tube railing that's along the street over the creek there, it's going to be replaced with the Essex Green Bridge guardrail, similar to what we have out at Mill Street. And then also ornamental fence along the edge of the creek banks there. And they'll have a gate on the one side that's adjacent to the parking lot. Additional sewer manhole that probably won't be noticeable to anybody except for Public Works, or they won't. Hopefully, most folks won't pay attention to it, but it'll be there. That'll be a big help. And then just a reminder: when the Buyer Street work is done, the lower section of the eastern side of the wharf will still be closed, just as is now, because again, we're only repairing the section of the tunnel that is under Buyer Street and a little bit into that the parking lot, but still like the confluence. That's project for another day. And this is the expected timeline is after the Buyer Street to Johnson Street work to begin late summer and probably September, and then go through the spring of 2027. I do want to mention, just as a heads up, again, weather permitting in the next couple of weeks, you may see some activity on Johnson Street just for a day. That's Columbia Gas. That's not the tunnel repair contractor out there. They need to get in there to do a pothole for the two gas lines that are there. They're planning to flag traffic, so to keep one lane open. But just wanted to mention that. So if you see here in the next few weeks something's going on Johnson Street, that's probably Columbia Gas doing that work. Really appreciate Josh getting the project website together. So that's available, as you can see there, and we'll continue to have communication going out just in general and be available on that site. And we meet a couple times a month to talk about the impact to the wharf area with business owners and other stakeholders. So any questions?
That timeline is subject to change by
As
fine
always.
points in the middle.
So was the last thing? I'm sorry.
The subject to change, but like for fine points, like in the middle, like if they need to change something along the way, but that's just but this is actually from the company that's doing it. So we're getting close.
That's correct. And that, again, that's the sequence. That's the general sequence. We're digging down, working on things that haven't been touched in many decades. So you never know what you're going to find. So as you said, it's subject to change, but it's our best guess at this point, and that's what they're shooting for.
I want to mention again that great pains are being taken to ensure access to all the wharf area businesses during this work.
That's correct.
We approved the marketing plan during the consent agenda that helps create awareness of that, but so all the residents know, all those businesses are open, they welcome customers, and people will be able to get to them despite some noise and some messiness. They will be open. And thank you for making sure that happens.
Yeah, just to confirm, you said that during this process on the Fire Street tunnel, that as it is now, you can go down Buyer Street, make a U-turn, come back. That will still be the way it is now during this process?
That's correct. Because at the end there, see where the cobbles are, that's
Right.
actually access to a residence,
Right.
residential building there. And so
Yes.
certainly we'll have to keep access to that.
Okay.
It'll be maybe a little bit slightly less there at the end, but they'll need to still maintain that access. And because they're going to be staging primarily on the upper side of that section in Buyer Street and the wharf.
That's great.
All righty. Well, we don't need to take any vote on this. We just thank Mr. Hart again for your time and hard work on this. And we look forward to seeing the setup and what's going to happen down at the wharf. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Ms. Beauregard, it's time for matters from the city manager.
I have a few items this evening. First, I would like to mention that on January 28th, well, we'll see. That's how the plan is for on January 28th at 5:15 at the library. There will be a comprehensive plan stakeholder meeting that will be directed or we would like the deaf community and those connected to it to attend. And there will be an American Sign Language interpretation will be provided to ensure open and effective dialogue. So that again is on January 28th at 5:15 at the library. And if that changes, we'll let folks know as soon as possible, and we'll get that rescheduled, obviously, if that has to change due to the weather. Speaking of the weather. So I would just like to say a few words about the upcoming snowstorm that our area will start to experience over the weekend. I'd like to thank Vice Mayor Arrowood for his comments and the great information that he shared, as well as Councilmember Campbell for his words. Be prepared, be patient as we head into the weekend and next week. This could be one of the biggest storms our area has seen in a long time, and we are taking this very seriously. First and foremost is the safety of everyone, and that starts with our city staff who will be working tirelessly for many days to clear the snow, namely Public Works and Parks and Recreation, and of course, police and fire and rescue who will continue to respond to emergencies as they always do, no matter the conditions. And I'll repeat what Councilmember Park said. Please don't make it harder for staff to do their jobs. And if you can stay home and stay off the roads during and immediately after the storm, please do so. Safety also applies to all of you, residents, citizens, and those who are visiting our area. Please, please heed the warnings to stay off the road during the storm. And again, doing so will make it easier for city staff that I just mentioned, and it will keep everybody else safe as well. If you don't need to be out, please don't go out. If you do need to be out, and I realize sometimes that is the case, please take your time and have an emergency plan in place should you need assistance. After the storm has passed, please continue to be patient as our crews continue to move snow. Not in our favor, next week is the cold. I keep looking at my weather app, hoping that we'll see 40 degrees, but that's not going to be for a while, I'm afraid. So the snow's not going to go away anytime soon, but I do promise it will melt. I'll put money down on that. So we just need to be patient. A few other things I'd like to mention that went out in the press release today. Downtown parking restrictions. We are trying to make snow removal as efficient as possible and thorough. Street parking will be prohibited in several downtown areas starting Saturday at noon. This is Beverly Street to Lewis, from Lewis to Market, New Street from Johnson to Frederick, and Central Avenue from Frederick to Johnson. These restrictions will remain in place as long as necessary to ensure snow removal operations can be completed. Everybody can park for free in our city parking decks. You can also park in our city lots. And again, that will be effective as long as we need to. And please, if you're going to vote, park in the decks, avoid the upper decks, because we also clear the upper decks as well. City services and facilities, the Staunton Public Library has already announced they'll be closed on Sunday, January 25th. They will try to be open. They will be open on Saturday. They're going to try to stay open until they close. At this time, no additional facility closures or service delays, such as trash collection, have been confirmed. However, further delays and closures are likely based on the weather forecast. And we'll be doing our best to make those determinations on Sunday for Monday. A few other things to remind everybody of: please be patient. City services and local transit will likely be delayed or unavailable, and clearing substantial snow accumulations across the city will require more time than usual. Be prepared and stay safe. And we will post things online that the Virginia Department of Emergency Management, they have some great snow prep tips. So please pay attention to that. And the biggest thing is just stay informed. We have the Staunton alert message that was talked about earlier, which will give you everything you need if you sign up for those, because again, we will be pushing those out many, many times in the next week. If you're on Facebook, please check Facebook. We post there as well. If you want to look at our website, we'll be posting things on the front page. And then another thing you can do is talk to your neighbors, talk to your friends. If you have a group that you share information with, please share it with them. Talk to each other and share the information. Help us spread the word. Keep snow out of the street. If you shovel, when you shovel and if you plow, please don't put it in the street. And please keep it off the sidewalks as well. If businesses are reminded, when you have your lots plowed, please do not put them on the sidewalks. As far as snow, sleet, and ice removal, city code requires that residents and business owners clear public sidewalks bordering their homes or business. The length of time for removal is dependent on the total snowfall. And when that snowfall ends, the city will push out an update clarifying the time frame. So we'll be pushing more information about that as the storm progresses. The city will provide updates as the winter storm evolves and will continue updates throughout next week. And as always, we appreciate everyone's patience as we get through what I will only say could be an unprecedented weather event. And I'll just complete my remarks by asking everyone to please look out for each other, help your neighbor, help your family, check on those around you. We will get through this. It just might be a rougher than usual week. So thank you. That's all I have this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Beauregard. Well, our last item on the agenda is entitled Matters from the Public, and it is a time that council sets aside to hear from residents and others about a wide variety of subjects. A copy of the Staunton City Council's Matters from the Public rules are available in paper form at the clerk's desk and online on the city's website. Please familiarize yourself with those rules before commenting. If you would like to speak, please come to the podium or raise your hand on Zoom. First, please give us your name and address and complete your remarks within 5 minutes. As a reminder, this is a time for council to listen. If you would like an answer to a question or follow up on your comment, please speak with the city manager, Leslie Beauregard, or one of us following the meeting. Would anybody please like to speak? Come to the podium. We will alternate between people in chambers and those on Zoom. Good evening. Welcome.
Hi.
Hi.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Erica Zipser. I live on College Circle. I've lived in Staunton now for 12 years. I'm a mother. I'm disabled, I'm queer, and I'm the daughter of an immigrant. So why am I telling you that? I've heard lots of talk about snow tonight, but I've heard no talk about ice. And we are living in a country that is being terrorized. And you folks are in a position of authority. So I'm here to talk to you. 2 weeks ago, a federal agent murdered a woman in Minneapolis. The next day, in Portland, Oregon, another ICE agent shot 2 people. When those people called their local police department for help, they were told that the police department would not help them. Okay? Since Renee Good was killed, the federal government has intensified pressure on Minnesota. With reports of increased ICE activity in Virginia, the question of how the local police department will respond needs to be answered. I used the city website to email the Staunton PD on January 9th. The question I asked was, I'm wondering if residents of Staunton City will be able to call the SPD for help if assaulted by ICE or DHS agents, or if the Staunton PD will be fully complying with any directives from that agency. The form included my email address and phone number. I have not gotten a response. I followed up again nearly a week later on January 15th. Again, there has been no reply. I'm here today because this lack of a reply to public inquiry is unacceptable from an organization that is taxpayer funded. This is an organization that is ostensibly meant to protect and serve all persons within our jurisdiction according to their website. This is an organization that has had time in the last 2 weeks to honor the retirement of a dog on their social media, but they have not had time to respond to this inquiry about public safety. The silence of that says a lot, and none of that is good. As most of you know, Staunton's history is problematic. Slavery, segregation, eugenics. Policing itself is built on the back of slave patrols and greatly disadvantages Black, brown, queer, trans, disabled people. As a disabled and queer person, going to the PD is not my ideal first choice, but they're all we have right now. ICE is a terror organization masquerading as a federal agency. Today, as I was assembling these comments to come here and speak to you, it became leaked that agents are able to enter federal homes without getting a warrant, a judicial warrant, okay? That's a violation of the Fourth Amendment. If Staunton PD is committed, as they say on their website, to the safeguarding of constitutional guarantees, then they should be prepared to do the potentially uncomfortable thing and make a public statement to the residents of the city saying that they're going to back us up if ICE or DHS shows up and starts kidnapping people. There is precedent for this. The Bucks County PA Sheriff's Department has now said they're no longer working with ICE. When Governor Spanberger took office earlier this week, she ended the VSP and DOC's relationship with ICE. I'm asking you to put pressure on the Staunton Police Department to take this a step further and make the commitment to protect residents and other people in the jurisdiction. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sir. Do we have any hands raised on Zoom?
We have no hands raised.
Do we have anyone else in the chambers who would like to speak?
Good evening. My name is Aaron Barmer. I live at 204 Beverly Street, Staunton, Virginia. I think first I'd just like to say I have some prepared remarks here. Thanks in advance to City of Staunton Public Works and Street Department workers, sanitation workers for being on call and on duty during the next week or so due to the state of emergency for this snow that's coming. I hope residents will get their preparations finished and help each other, then stay off the roads unless absolutely necessary. I also want to say thank you to City of Staunton Fire and Rescue and the crews at Staunton Augusta Rescue Squad. And I hope that Staunton Police and Dispatch and Staunton Sheriff's Office staff have as quiet and uneventful a snow emergency as possible, and that everyone makes it home safely. With my remaining time, I'd like to extend my congratulations to Governor Abigail Spanberger, Lieutenant Governor Ghazala Hashmi, and Attorney General Gerald Jones on the historic occasion of their inauguration to office in service of our Commonwealth. I welcome Governor Spanberger's Day 1 executive orders, and I will be watching closely and working with my neighbors and colleagues in education and advocacy for disability justice and human rights to support those several important projects and many more to bring Virginia out of the humiliating foulness of Jim Crow and into an equitable, just 21st century. Ms. Zipser, I resonate with your remarks. The person that you could also address those remarks to is standing right there. He's been affected by the governor's recension of the 287G order, a stain, yet another stain on Virginia's history. So let's have a little bit of political education up here. We've got all these members of council who are abdicating their authority. I know that I have personally spoken to several of them, and they know full well that they have the ability to petition the city manager for a special hearing of council, whereby we don't have to have this silly charade of matters from the public where they just stare at us like mutes. And there can be feedback, and there can be documents entered into the record, and there can be discourse. So far, none of these counselors have taken the initiative to submit this quorum and this petition to the city manager. I'm sure they have their reasons. I don't know what those reasons would be. Fear, cowardice, certainly because they haven't been told. I have it on good authority that the mayor herself has quite a few emails to respond to on this topic and the topic of what she is going to do with her trust in Jim Williams and how he is going to keep Stantonians safe. Because the simple truth is, he ain't going to do nothing to keep Stantonians safe. Okay? Don't get it twisted. The cops are not going to keep you safe when ICE comes here. Do not be mistaken. They're going to stand there and watch. They're going to make sure ICE, let's be clear, unreformed, pardoned Proud Boys, J6ers, right? Failed rent-a-cops, right? Washed out police, criminal jailers, people who couldn't hack it in the military because of their records, bad Apple cops, behavior cases with records, and just any jackass off the street, really, as journalists are starting to uncover, because you can just pretty much just sign up. Hey, I want $50,000 and a license to beat old women over the head. So Jim Williams, hey, he's national news now that the City Council of Staunton abdicating their responsibility.
Do we have any hands raised?
We have no hands raised.
Would anyone else like to speak? We still have no hands raised.
That is correct. We have no hands raised.
This meeting of the Stanton City Council is adjourned.